Right. Okay, so just for intro,
What month were you?
it's the 23rd of
March.
April,
April, yes.
2017.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll start again. So, who are you?
Long Arthur Spurgin, born on the 24th of August 1931 to Edith Alice Spurgin and Ronald Stanley Spurgin at Lexington Hospital, Colchester, Essex, England. Colchester is the oldest recorded town in English history. It's an old Roman town with loads of Roman ruins. Even today, it's a garrison town. In other words, it's got lots of places that hold troops. I lived at 2 Dilbridge Road, which was a semi-detached house. Our next door neighbours were Mr. and Mrs. Geddes, known to my dad as Bill. Bill Geddes was a policeman. He was the local policeman, used to ride around on his bike around the streets where us kids used to play. And when he came, we'd say, Geddes is coming, and the streets would clear. And that's how it was. But
So he was the local policeman.
he was the local policeman, yeah.
So he would do his rounds on a bike.
And that was the thing. We would say, some of the kids would say, Geddes is coming. And they would. Not that we ever done anything wrong. I can say through all our, there was lots of kids, and they never vandalised. Graffiti wasn't a thing, but no, they were good kids, good clean living kids. Nobody smoked. Well, it's a lie. Actually, they did. We used to buy 5 woodbines occasionally, and they'd break them in half and smoke woodbines. But Colchester is just an ancient town with a big Norman castle. As I said before, lots of ruins.
So, where you lived, did you have like a vegetable garden in the backyard?
We had chooks, we had bantam chickens. I don't remember. I think we had. Yeah, I'm sure we had vegetables in that ground because my dad always grew vegetables. But for some reason, which I didn't know until my brother told me, we moved house to 35 Dilbridge Road, which was in a row of 6 houses. Our next door neighbour was Mr. and Mrs. Leach, and he was Fred, but we never called him Fred because everybody respected everybody. I can remember as a kid, I don't remember what year it was, but I remember pushing a wooden cart up the street with the coal from 2 Dilbridge to 35 Dilbridge. We had the coal room was inside the kitchen. So when the coal man delivered, he came through the back door and dumped the coal into the coal hole.
And so this was like a room, a cupboard.
Yeah. So what if you come into the back, they used to call it the backyard. So the backyard was a little area, and there was a fence, and there was a passageway that fed all the houses along. And then we had a big garden. We did have a big garden that stretched a long way down, which eventually they cut in half and built houses on the other end. So he'd come in, park his horse and cart in the street, cart the coal round, and they'd open the back door, and they'd open the coal house door, and they had like slats in it. So you could lift the slats up to how much coal you could get, and then he'd dump the coal into the coal hole.
And so how would he shift the coal, with a wheelbarrow? Or
No, a shoulder. No,
a sack.
They used to have a leather pad on their shoulder which strapped around the thing. Yeah, no, they lifted it up on this would be half 100 weight of coal in a bag.
So that's 100 weights. How much weight?
Well, I don't know. It was 112 pounds and 100 weight, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
half 100 weight of coal.
56 pounds, which is about 30 kilos of coal. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a fair bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my dad was never stingy with coal. So when the coal man eventually married my aunt, but he lived around the corner in Fairfield Avenue. Humphrey's a coal poo, and it was Humphreys, and I forget what the other fellow was, but he died. So Humphreys was the main one. They just had a horse and cart, and they just loaded up with coal and just delivered to people on coal. And then my dad was always bought plenty of coal. We never short of coal.
And so, what was the coal being used for?
Fire in the front room.
And just heating, just not for
no,
cooking.
nothing else. No, we had gas to cook with.
So just heating the.
Yeah, just heating the room, but it was a joke because most of the heat used to go up the chimney.
Yeah.
So and then I had a brother who was born 13 months younger than me, which was Michael John.
Right. Okay.
And then 9 years later, I had a
Yes.
sister born. She was just Margaret.
Okay.
But
That's a long gap.
I know, it was a long gap when you think that I was 19 and she was 10.
Yeah.
Because
So you were born in 31, so
Yeah.
she wasn't born until
40
during the war.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, and during the war, which is another story, isn't it? That's another story. Yeah, but in that street was lots of kids. There was lots of kids, and they used to play cricket on the lamppost, and in the days of tops, and then we'd make, because it was on a hill, the road was concrete, and they used to be on down a hill, because you got to think in them days there was no cars. Going back to the cars, to Dillbridge Road, the fella across the street bought a little Austin 7, and my dad taught him to drive, because there weren't many people who could drive.
I taught him to drive.
Taught him to drive, yeah.
Because your dad was
Bus driver.
bus driver.
So going back to my dad started off. I'm not absolutely 100% sure, but he started off as a blacksmith with my granddad. My granddad, Arthur Albert Spurgin, was the blacksmith in Bewers, the special constable in Bewers, and then I don't know in what the lady he married. I never knew because she died. My dad and my uncle Percy was the first one. He was a mountain of a man. He was huge. He was huge, massive, big man. Not fat, just a big man. Who was also a bus driver, like my dad was. And then there was my dad was born, and then Auntie Vera was born. And then their mother died, but I don't know how she died. Whether she died in childbirth or she just died of something else. And then my granddad married again. But then he bought pubs, and he had a number of pubs in Colchester.
Oh, so you would have been fairly well off then.
They were well off, yeah, they were well off because to me, I mean, my dad, yeah, he was very, to me, he was very generous to me. Then they had the, I forget what the name of the pub was, right near the railway. I don't know what it was called, the Railway Tavern. That was right near the railway line, where the line crossed the road and the signal box was to change the two lines from St Bottles to and the line to Clackmont-Sea and that, which is to the coast. But then he sold the pub and bought a fish and chip shop.
Ah, so he was the one with the fish and chips.
He was the one with the fish and chip shop. And then Nanny, a pretty tall lady, they were always good to us kids. They were. If we went there, they'd be 2 and 6pence, and 2 and 6pence in them days was a lot of money. So they were always generous to us.
What, they give you 2 and 6?
Yeah, Mick and I 2 and 6, because he's only so much younger than me. We tromped around together.
Yeah.
A lot, right until, till the days of going. I had to go in the army and. I come out and he had to go in the army. But So
he went from owning pubs to owning a fish and chip shop.
he owned a fish and chip shop, and that's where he died, in the fish and chip shop.
Yeah. Okay.
They found him dead they used to have a big room at the back where they used to do all the peeling the potatoes and cutting the fish, because the fish used to come in wooden boxes from Lowestoft, which was a fair whack away, where they used to fish in the North Sea, and they'd come what was left of ice in the box. Don't ask me how they used to make the ice in them days, but so they'd drop it off and he'd take the fish and cut it, scale it and cut the tails off, cut the heads off, and then they used to open certain lunchtime, not every lunchtime, but they used to open certain lunchtime of the week and every night of the week, but he didn't open on Sunday nights. So, yeah.
So, getting back to the house, they were both council houses?
They were all both council houses.
So,
my dad's principle was, if you couldn't pay for it, you didn't have it. No.
Didn't believe in getting a mortgage or anything like that.
No. He could have, at the end of the war, he could have bought it for £900, and he said, that's a debt. Yet, the whole of that I can remember of his work and life, for the bus company, which was the Eastern National Bus Company, he always got the cream jobs. The cream, what you'd call cream jobs. Like they used to do their own tree lopping. And
tree lopping?
Yeah, they used to, if the trees hit the bus,
yes,
they'd go and lop the trees themselves.
Ah.
They had a bus with the top off, a double-decker bus with the top off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'd lop it.
They'd just drive along.
Yeah, and lop whatever was in the road in the way of the buses. And then they'd take it in turns to have the firewood. So we would never eat a firewood.
Oh, so you could burn coal as well as wood.
We could burn coal as well as the fire. When we had the kitchen and the bathroom, which was the car bathroom and the laundry, and the living room, which wasn't all that big, and we had 3 bedrooms upstairs.
Right. And so he just paid rent to the council.
He paid rent to the council all his life.
Yeah, okay.
Which his brother, his older brother, had a nice house at Haverhill that they owned when they were paying off. His sister had her own house, but he wouldn't.
No. But then, because he was born, do you remember when he was born?
No.
I
believe he went from being working as a blacksmith, he went to being a chauffeur for some estate, and then he left the estate and went and joined the Eastern National Bus Company. And there is pictures, I believe, Mick tells me, my brother, that there is pictures of him with the first double-decker bus at Clacton-on-Sea with solid tyres, solid wheels.
Wow.
And I've actually seen the picture, but a long time ago.
Yeah.
And there's him standing beside. He was taller than me. He was smart. If he wanted to dress up, he was smart.
As I said, maybe that's why he was a chauffeur somewhere.
Could be. Yeah.
So, as far as you knew, he'd worked for the bus company for a long time.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm just thinking he went through the Depression in the 20s.
Yeah, but never had to work. He was never had to work, ever. No, he must... Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about solid tyres, you're talking about...
Pretty early days.
Yeah, getting early into the 19th century.
Yeah.
With the solid tyres.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And if it was cream jobs, he'd get the flicking cream jobs, but... He was not good with money for my mother. He kept a flicking
because you said once you thought he had money hidden
away. They found £500 after he died in the Timmy, but this was the point of the thing that he didn't leave a will. I mean, he just died at 63 and with a heart attack, and that was it. But the point was he didn't leave a will. But there had to be money. It had to be money because he always worked 6 days a week. Yeah, there had to be money. So Mick and I, we don't know where it's gone.
No.
Well, we think we know where it's gone, but we can't prove where it's gone.
Yeah.
So after he died, they couldn't find, they couldn't find. There was next to nothing in the bank. But I remember buying a bike frame once, and he said to me, I bought it on I was a workman, not getting much money, but I don't know when he got wind of where Mum told me what, I don't know. And I think I bought it £9, I think, for a £12 frame or something.
But you borrowed it.
I borrowed from a hire Timmy, like a what do you call them now? Doesn't matter. I borrowed the money and I had to pay it off.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Boy, whilst you live in this house, you pay for what you have." And he gave me the money and I paid for the bike and I never paid him back.
Oh, okay.
And that's how he was. So. But I mean, it was good because
You don't think somehow... I just think of the Depression, somehow he had a bad experience and that's where he just didn't like people borrowing money. He'd seen other people.
Well, yeah, but he didn't. He was work through depression. He didn't know what depression was.
No.
I mean, he never out of work.
No. I wonder if someone else had a bad experience that...
Yeah, but he come from a family who had money.
Yeah. But then... If your grandfather owned pubs and then he went down to a fish and chip shop, that seems like a step down, but I don't know.
But it isn't in as much as the hours you put in a pub.
Yes,
to what
which
you push in the fish
pretty
and chip
horrible.
Shop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. And just back from the fish and chip shop, was a blacksmith shop where they used to shoe the horses.
Yeah.
You got to think that lots of the bread, the coal, there was numerous things that still used horse and carts. And we used to, as kids, used to stand and watch them shoe the horses, get the red hot shoe and put it on the horse's hoof. And the smell is just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And then if it wasn't quite the thingy, they just knock it to shape. And they'd put it on the horse, knock these special nails into the hoof, and the horse. And that, I'm talking about not racehorse. I'm talking about cart horses with great big feet.
And that's it.
And that's what. Yeah. And we used to, Mum and Dad would go down to which was with Nana and Granddad's place, and Mick and I'd go up to the horse, the blacksmith, and watch the blacksmith.
So that's it. So they're delivering coal. They were delivering bread,
milk. There was something else used to come around. I think that might have been fruit and veg, but I'm not sure. But the main ones are bread, the coal, the milk.
And they'd come around every day.
The bread would come around every day. The milk would come every day, or in the morning, and the coal would come on his special day of delivering that area.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
And that's it. And you could play out in the road because there were no cars.
Oh, look, yeah. Oh, that whatever the craze was, tops, Robin Hood.
What was tops?
There's spinning tops with a stud on like a little cap on the top and a stem and a stud in it, still stud in the bottom. And you tie your piece of string around the top of the tip.
These were made of wood. You made them yourself?
No.
No, you bought them.
Yeah. And you just wind the string around and you just flick it on the concrete and it'd spin. It'd come out the rope and spin.
No. The gyroscope.
And they'd put hopscotch in the street, put numbers on.
With chalk?
Hopscotch.
Yeah.
They get a red brick or something or other.
Not chalk, a red brick.
No, a red brick, something or other. You can scribe the road and they'd scribe out two outs and then a straight one and you had 1, 2, 3 and you have to hop from one to the other.
So how would you get to school?
Walk to school. You had to be, I forget how far you had to be to take your bike. You had to be a fair way away to be able to ride your bike to school. There was a bike thing at the school.
Oh, you mean you weren't allowed to ride
No,
your bike?
no. But I went to Goring Road Infant School first when I was 5. I remember my mum buying a hat, and I think I hung it on the peg, and that probably still hanging on the peg now. And she used to say to me, "When you bring a hat on, bring a hat on." Oh, no, I never brought the hat on. But that was when I was 5. So what year was that? 37. 36. 36. Yeah. I went there, and then I mean, I can sort of remember going for the first time because I didn't want to go. But then the war started, and then for a while we only went for half a day.
What? Just in the morning?
Yeah, just in the morning. Yeah, I don't know why we went for half a day. Whether it was because they lacked teachers, because so many people were being called up to go in the army, in the Air Force, and the Navy.
So there wasn't like 2 shifts. There was just
no
school in the afternoon.
You just went to school in the morning, and that was it.
That was it.
So yeah, and the school did get one part during the war. There was a Goring Road was behind the school, and the school did get the houses did get machine gunned one day, and the teacher said, "Get under the tables," which is what we did. But they actually machine gunned the roofs of the houses, and then they dropped just down the road from Dilbridge Road was Ipswich Road, which was the road from Colchester to Ipswich, which is a bigger town than Colchester. And they dropped a bomb trying to hit the bridge that crossed the Ipswich Road, crossed the railway line, because the railway line used to run to Harwich and places beyond. But he wasn't too bad. He actually landed the bomb in the dirt beside the bridge, but it didn't damage the bridge.
Oh.
But that was.
And so the same plane machine gunned the houses?
Yes, yeah. He just went along, machine gunned, and then dropped his bomb
and then took off.
Well, he called daylight raiders. They come in flying low and dropped his bomb and took off. Where they got him or what, I don't know.
No.
And,
but so that's it. You're sitting in class.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the teacher says,
"Yeah,
everyone died
under the table." Yeah, that was the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you have air raids at night? I mean,
but that was that.
Because Mum talks about air raid shelters, but I don't remember you ever talking about.
But the thing was that. See, I was 8 when the war started in September. That's another thing. We went down with Nana's, and she gave. I strictly remember. Went down with Mick, and she gave us 6pence each, and we went back up the street to where we used to go home with Struts, which was a bit of a bike shop and a bit of a lolly shop and whatnot. I remember we went in and spent 6pence on lollies, Mick and I.
What? Hang on. Why? What was the reason you were giving 6pence for?
No reason.
Oh,
that's how they were.
Yeah.
That's how they were generous.
Yeah.
They were always generous to us.
Yeah.
I mean, she lived till she was way in her 80s down there, but she got Alzheimer's, so which was not good.
No.
Yeah. So but then.
So you'd walk to school and walk home, and you just walk by yourself. I mean, initially you must have gone by yourself.
When the infant school. I really haven't got a great memories of the infant school, possibly because there was too much other things going on. But then we went to what they call the secondary modern school, and then that was further to walk. But you still couldn't take your bike.
That's interesting. You had to live far enough.
You had to
away
live in a certain
bike.
address before you could ride your bike to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like they're worried about congestion, or
no, it wasn't. There's places to put your bikes.
Oh, that was it.
It wasn't. So there wasn't sufficient bike racks. I mean, today they throw the bikes anywhere, but that was.
But those days
there were the rules, and you abided by the rules.
Oh, right. Okay. So you said secondary modern, so that was essentially
that was high school.
High school.
That's what he called it today.
Yeah.
Which was
Was it still half a day? Or
No. The half a day, I sort of don't remember how long the half a day went for. It was, they're probably not all that long. No, but it was just a period. That just sets in my mind that we went only for half a day. And all the kids. I mean, you've got to remember this. This is like council houses, like Housing Trust here. They're there's mobs of kids.
Yeah.
There's mobs of kids, and
so there were three. Oh, well, for a long time there were only two in your family. Two kids. Was your family smaller than average, bigger than average? You know.
No, the leases next door had two. The people next door didn't have any children. The people from there had too much older boys than us. And then there was the Englishes, and there was three of them. The people on the corner, I don't recall. Then over the road was the Evanses, and they had about 5 or 6 kids. And then across the road from us was, can't think of what their names were now. There was 3 daughters.
And we're talking about all similar ages to you guys.
Oh no, because the people, the 2 boys further up were much older than us.
But the rest of them?
The rest of them were all within Johnny Mason, the Waltons. I mean, the Waltons' 5 kids. I mean, Dougie Walton was older, and Joan Walton was older. Dougie went in the war. He was a seaman in the war. But then from Bobby Walton down, the rest of them were all within the same, and Nornie Mason across the road, and Righty, they were all within the parameters, within, say, 4 or 5 years.
It's a lot of kids in one street.
I mean, there was the leases down the road was 5 kids, and the next one's he was in the army. He had 2 daughters, and then the Pigs had 2 kids. The Waltons had 5 kids, and the next mob I don't remember. They had kids, but they were much older than us. And the Leases had 2 kids. Yeah,
there's a lot of kids in one street.
Yeah, that was it. But the thing was when we left school, I mean, everybody got a job. We'd all trom off the pitches on Sunday nights, which was, it wasn't Christian, but that's what we used to do. And could be up to 14 of us in a queue to get in the pitches.
Oh, as in all from the same street?
Yeah, well, yeah. Or people that we met along
the way.
Congregate along the way. Yeah, to get I don't know why the decision always get made. We all went the same place, and I remember we used to walk up the high street there's 2 cinemas further up, and they used to, can't think of his bloody name now. Ken Harvey used to play a trumpet in the Salvation Army band, and the Salvation Army band used to play outside the Hippodrome every Sunday night for all the people who should be at church. We go to the pictures. And I remember he came out here years later, and he said, I used to envy you blokes. He said, you were free to go to do what you want. He said, and I had to play in the band.
On Sunday night.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So even on a Sunday night, people were going to church? Or is it just...
Yeah, because... I don't know what year it was. The boy next door, Donald Leach, was much older than me. Kenneth was 1 year older than me. But Donald Leach was in the church choir, St Anne's church choir, and I don't know why I got him. He said, come and join the choir, which we got paid money, so I thought, well, this is good, I'll get paid money. So I joined the choir, and we used to go at 9 in the morning.
On a Sunday?
On a Sunday, yeah. And then there was Sunday school in the afternoon, and then we used to go back at 6 o'clock at night to sing in the choir.
And they paid you?
And they paid, but it wasn't much. I think it was about 6.73 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, it wasn't big money.
Token.
And we used to have a pump organ.
Yeah.
Bloke used to sit there and pump it. In fact, sometimes he didn't turn up, and I don't know why I got nominated, but I've pumped the organ many times. And the bloke who played the organs was Mr. Blowers.
Right.
Which was,
yes.
Yeah, but he was a good organist. Yeah, and they used to get quite a few in the church. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when Mum used to go. Mum used to go occasionally to
Yeah.
church. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it must have been. You were expected on Sunday to do church things.
Church, yeah. I mean, the bell used to, it was only a single bell. I mean, they'd ring it for the 9 o'clock service. People used to complain they didn't want to get out of bed, but yeah, and all the other churches had, all the older churches that had lots of bells would ring their big chimes, and these bells are going for services.
Yeah. On a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday morning, yeah, religious people.
Yeah.
And our dog got caught on the bloody gate one day. He got spiked on the gate. Chum.
The church
Gate, yes. The gate was shut and he jumped the gate after something and he got caught on the thingy. Got caught on the spikes of the gate and that didn't do him a lot of good in his thingy. Yeah.
He survived?
Yeah, he came home. I used to have to attend to him.
Okay.
In fact, I got up one morning. I mean, I was always first out of bed. One morning I got out of bed and the place was full of smoke. We hadn't been there long. The place was full of smoke. I went, Mum, we're on fire, we're on fire. And we had this wicker chair, we had a little wicker chair. And my dad always went to work early. And he'd lit the fire and he'd put our clothes on the fire, Mick and I, only Mick and I, to warm, I assume. And we had a cat. And they reckon the cat jumped on the chair and knocked it on the fire. But my theory is, and has been for a long time, that he put too much weight on one side of the wicker chair, and it wasn't the cat at all, it was the wicker chair. The weight of the clothes on the wicker chair fell on fire, it burnt the clothes, burnt the wicker chair, burnt the fender a bit, caught the mat. We didn't have carpet, we only had lino. It caught the mat fire a bit, but Mum put it out.
But only because you'd woken up and told
Only because
everyone.
I'd woken up, yeah. And I was always up, all my life. I've always been, yeah.
But your dad got up even earlier.
Oh yeah,
he was...
Dad went early. Yeah. He was always gone all the time, all his working life. He was he was early. He was always an early start. He knew. I don't know the whole skip if he starting with the Eastern National, but he knew. He knew the manager of the depot in Colchester, and he must have known him that well that he could say his piece and says, "This is what I want," and that seemed to be what he got.
So he would come home mid-afternoon or something like that.
Yeah. He used to. This was another thing. Mum would make him sandwiches, and he'd take his sandwich, which were often cheese.
Even though you don't like cheese.
Yeah, well, this was a bit of the story. You see, he'd come home, and they had a canteen at the Eastern National, where you could go and get a meal or whatever, a sandwich or whatever. Actually, I used to go there sometimes, and for money, used to go and wash up for him. And it wasn't that often. But he'd come home and he'd bring his sandwiches home. And Mum would say, "Okay, you two eat the thingies." And
this is why you don't like cheese, because you were forced to eat cheese sandwiches.
And I say, I don't like cheese. Well, just eat the bread then. But the bread tasted the cheese. So that's my obsession for not liking cheese.
Being forced to eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that was it. But waste not, want not.
No, that's right.
So, yeah.
Oh, and so he brought the sandwiches home because he got fed at work.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. And then for a while, he actually managed the canteen. And this is towards the end of the war. And that's when they started getting ice cream. I mean, you got to remember, during the war, there was pretty. You couldn't buy lollies.
You couldn't buy lollies.
No, lots of the war you couldn't buy lollies. Towards the end of the war, you got coupons. You got coupon book to buy things. Can't think his name down the street. There used to be a lolly shop down the street and a tobacconist and whatnot together. And on Friday afternoon, you'd get a delivery of lollies. and there'd be that many kids down there with their coupons
Oh.
to get, and that by the end of the afternoon, his shop was empty again. He's only got tobacco again.
So a coupon gave you a certain value.
Your coupon give you so much weight of lollies. So you choose the lollies that give you the most.
But only on
Fridays.
Only on Fridays.
Yeah, and that went on.
And then if you got it early. Yeah.
The kids come out of school and we'd get them mum and I don't know where she must have gave us some money. And down the lolly shop.
All right.
But
so everyone, because you had rations, everyone had a coupon?
Everybody.
For a week?
No, you got a book.
A book.
A book with coupons. I forget how many months. I don't know if she's still got one.
Yeah, I think I've seen one.
Yeah,
yeah.
with coupons for, not for bread. Bread was not Timby, but the butter, cheese, jam, not milk. Lots of things. Lots of things you couldn't buy anyway.
What, even though you had a coupon for it?
Yeah, because they weren't available.
They just couldn't
because
get it.
there were lots of, you didn't get bananas. We didn't get bananas for years because bananas came from overseas.
Yeah.
Us as a family were right, because I used to do gardening. I had part of the garden and my brother didn't. I'd do part of the garden and they'd do part of the garden. So we had carrots and celery and potatoes and they were pretty self-contained, and we had our own chickens.
So did you trade vegetables with other people? Did people...
Well, no. I remember my mum once saying, go out and... we had a lot of lettuces, and Mum said, why don't you go and take some lettuces around and try and sell them? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. But when I come to do it, I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. I just would not do it. I was... No. I couldn't do it.
No, okay.
No.
But not trade a lettuce with someone down the road for carrots or something?
Waltons had fruit. They were 1, 2, 3 doors down. They had fruit and chickens, but we never had fruit. But we did have chickens.
So did most people have gardens?
Yeah. Gardens was a thing. Gardens, everybody. At the back of the other side of the road was what they called allotments, and you could rent. There's this pretty big area, and you could go on and rent a patch of ground. Mum's dad, he had an allotment because he didn't have any garden anyway. No. Where they lived, but there are lots of people, and even one bloke, Riley, I think they had pigs over there on their plot. Yeah, they kept pigs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could hear them going, It's no. You got to remember, it's only the other side of the road. Yeah. They're between one street and another street. So they had their gardens and another garden, and there was this bit in the middle. So they had, they had their plot.
Okay. So, but you didn't have an allotment, so you just had the garden.
No, we didn't have an allotment. No.
Oh.
No. But
okay.
when I was, when I did the secondary model when I was 12, was it 12 or 11? No, 11, 12, 13, 14, yeah. 11.
Go to the what, sorry?
The secondary modern, they call it.
Oh, okay, right,
which was one up from,
Yeah.
And there, I used to love history. We used to do gardening.
As a subject?
As a subject. I think we had a fair while. So we had our own little plots. And...
even at school.
Yeah, even at school. Mr. Cudmore. He was not only the gardener teacher, he was a geography teacher. And if there was a kid who put his stick in and he was throwing up at chalk, and he was that accurate to be quiet in the class. But and so I just loved gardening.
Just asking about class, how many kids do you remember being in the class?
About 30 kids.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember one term. I don't know how old I was then. How long I've been there then? Probably second year, maybe. We had Amy Lord as the teacher. Yeah, all right, good teacher. And I forget what she said to me. She said, you keep open, keep talking, keep something or other. She said, don't stop talking. She said, which was an absolute penalty. Go and sit beside Vera Flack for the rest of the term. And that was so degrading. You sit beside a girl.
Right.
Yeah, but Vera Flack, no, she's a nice girl. Yeah, I met her, you know, I mean, we got on all right together. So I had a term, open my mouth. Yeah, Vera
And that
Flack.
was the punishment.
That was the punishment. Yeah, that was punishment, believe you me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So what other subjects you had? Gardening?
I used to do history, geography, maths, writing, nothing. Nothing outstanding. I don't think we ever done. Oh, we used to do science. We done a bit of science. But I don't think it was too full on. You got to remember, lots of time we didn't have teachers. You know, we only had female teachers. Lots of male teachers had gone to war.
Oh, okay.
You know, we had a lot of female teachers.
Which would have been a bit out of the ordinary, because normally you would have
Well,
had male teachers.
I don't know, because I was at school all through the war, and that was it. So I don't know. But yeah, we had a lot of female. Mr. Coble was pretty old. Well, to me, as a kid, he was old.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a good teacher.
And I guess he must have been pretty old if he wasn't
In
go
the
off
military.
to the war,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
military.
for sure. Yeah, because...
Well, relatively, yeah.
Yeah. You see, that was what they called... what the heck they used to call it? They used to call it some sort of special service. You were a retained... Something like they used to use a word, and you could not be called up because your job was so essential that you couldn't be called up. Like the bloke next door, he was machinist at Paxman's, but he must have been a pretty, you know, high performance bloke because he never got called up. Anybody who had we'll put it, an important job never got called up for the military. That's why Uncle Jeff, he got called up for the Navy because he only worked at a brewery. His other, I don't know how this was related. Albert was another one, but he wasn't part of the family yet. He was part of the family. He got put in the army. Uncle Percy didn't go because he was essential to me. Uncle Sid was the bloke he was in the reserves of the Suffolk Regiment, and as soon as war started, he got called up, and he's the one who got captured at Dunkirk. Just outside of Dunkirk, and spent 5 years as a German prisoner because he didn't make the escape route.
Yeah.
But no, so if you were essential services, you didn't get called up.
It was compulsory. I mean, people were.
Well, if you didn't have to volunteer, they just called you.
Yeah, right.
Like they did with national service.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't go because they were essential services, and next door didn't go.
And obviously your dad didn't go.
No,
or was he too old?
Essentials. Well, he wouldn't have. I don't think he would have been too old at the beginning of the war. He was essential services.
Because at the beginning of the war, he would have been only in his 30s.
Yeah, exactly. They were taken, I think, till 36. But you see, I mean, that was just one instance. I come home from school, Mick and I, and there's this bloody... Mick would have been there at school then. He was still in TV school. There was this soldiers out there. There's a military vehicle outside, and there's a soldier in the house. And I was, yeah, you know, flicking their fully armed and everything. And Dad said, I've got to go and take a bus, pick up some soldiers, and that was to pick up the troops that were coming back from Dunkirk, landing at all different ports, wherever the ships could get them in.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many buses went. So they had to go to these different ports and bring them back to places like Colchester, which were military barracks, back to Aldershot, which was another military barracks. Wherever they came from, they had to be carted back.
So he was driving like a bus that would normally do a bus route within Colchester. Yeah. So essentially they seconded him
to pick up these troops. So he was away for quite a few days. So then those that like him and the bloke next door and Leachy, they had to join the Home Guard or the ARP to give their time to defence of the country.
So your dad had joined the Home Guard?
Yeah, my dad was in the Home Guard. Yeah, I don't know how many
Okay.
times he went, mind you, but I think
So-
he always found excuses not to go.
So what sort of things with the Home Guard?
Oh,
do?
they just paraded and marched up and down.
That sounds
I
useful.
think they used to do, I think the Home Guard on the coastal things used to do coast watch.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Because you've got to remember the beaches were all mined and barbed wire and steel.
Oh, anti-tank
Yeah,
traps.
yeah, all sorts of things. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you went, you went down that road on the main road, which was Ipswich Road, you get down there a little way, and there's big concrete bollards, huge concrete slabs. So that limits the amount of traffic. Not there was much traffic. It limits the amount of traffic that can pass that point. So
Oh, so just like a
They-
road calming, a choke point.
yeah, they narrow it down. So and then they put pillboxes, built concrete pillboxes to whatever. I don't know what the hell they were going to do.
On what, either side of this choke point?
No, only one. They
Okay,
put
one.
on one side,
Yeah.
so they would mount it with an anti-tank gun or whatever.
So there was no one there normally.
No.
but they
This
could
was
have.
just there if the case arises. I mean, even what we used to call partridges, which was a big area of marshes and the river Cohen. There was even a pillbox on there. So that was to if they didn't get up Ipswich Road and they try and come down to what they call a bypass, they could stop it from there. But whether they ever would have done, I don't know.
No, but the fact that they thought about it, they
Oh
planned
yeah,
for it.
yeah. No, and then there was big anti-tank, huge holes dug in areas that,
Like trenches. Or
like
something.
but big trenches, so that if tanks get in, they can't sort of get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So
All this was built just in case.
yeah. Oh, look, as history will tell you, they thought that. I mean, that was the point that Hitler had got to he'd got the other side of the water,
Yeah.
21 kilometres away from Dover. He was there.
Yes.
And his boats were there, his landing craft were there, and for some reason or other he turned around and took on the Russians and
Yes.
left us.
Yes.
So,
So what sort of things do you remember? Because there was no television, so
no television.
did you listen to the radio during the
No,
war?
we only had the radio was only allowed on for news. I was only in the very later years that we had like serial programs, Dick Barton, Special Agent, and that sort of rubbish, which is rubbish today. But yeah, no, it wasn't. We didn't have the radio wasn't on to play music or anything like that.
So
It only came on for the news at 6 o'clock. And
so if you went home and had dinner, what would you do? What would say on a summer night? You know, if it was because it'd be still light till later, what would you? Do you remember what you would do after you'd have dinner? There's no TV. There's no radio by the sound of it.
no, I wasn't allowed.
No.
Oh look, don't ask me. I mean, the lights night we'd be out in the street.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You go out
I
with
mean,
the kids.
you'd come home from school, and they'd be out on the street doing something. Like I said, I remember once we went down the bottom was the garage. We used to load repairs of fairly big vehicles, and we used to go and get big roller bearings, steel roller bearings, and get a lump of wood. God knows where we got the wood from, and shaver the wood off and drive the roller bearings on, and make a go-kart and go down the hill and
Just with the roller bearings.
just with the roller bearings, and we used to do it after dark sometimes, and the sparks from the roller bearings going down this concrete road at night. Oh no, you used to do all sorts of things. See how many you can get on a push bike going down the hill? How many kids you get on a bike? No. Yeah.
And that's it. So do you remember how old you were when you got a bike?
Well, there was the Evanses across the road, which was 5 boys and Doreen. And I always got on well with Doreen. There was nothing, but we always got on well. We'd always did for years and years and years. All the time I knew Doreen, we would always, have a talk and have a chat. there was 5 boys, and they were much older than me, and I don't know how Dad knew, but he went over and see the dad of these and said, can I get some, because there were bits of bikes on the shed and roof and everything, and then he said, can I, well, I don't know what he done a deal or whatever, and said, can I have some bits of bike parts and make on a bike? So he made me up a bike, and then took the springs out the saddle, and the saddle was right down on the bar,
Right.
and he put wooden blocks on the pedals, and I remember him taking me around the bypass to teach me how to ride this bike. And eventually I must have grown up enough to take the blocks off the pedals, and I reckon, I can't remember when I started my paper round or not, because when you're 13 you can start a paper round. I'd done a paper round when I was 12, that was a Sunday one, which gave me 2 and 6pence, which was almost up there in the town. And I can't remember when he bought me the bike there. But one day he came home with this what I thought was a fancy bike, had a chain cover, 3 speeds.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a fancy. This I shouldn't say this, but my dad always seemed to favour me. He gave me things he didn't give my brother. I don't know when my brother got it. I think my brother got the bike.
It's not, but then you were the older one.
Yeah, but only by 13 months.
Yeah, which isn't much. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
but
yeah.
I looked like a Spurgin that my brother didn't. So I don't know, but I always felt. He bought me a steam train once. Oh, magical! I'd love to see it now. It'd be worth now. I mean, it was steam. It was a train that ran around tracks.
Oh.
Yeah, and you put a metho in it, like your
like
steam
train, yeah.
You get
but
steam
it was
up.
mobile.
Yeah, and then it'd go around the tracks. Yeah, this steam train. That was fancy, man. So they used to, up the street from where the bus depot was an auction room, which the people, Mr. Walton, 5 doors down, 4 doors down, used to be one of the people that worked there. He's the one with all the kids.
Oh, okay. So your dad bought things at the auction.
Yeah, he went to the
house.
auction, and he bought me this bike, and I was the top notch of the kids of the street with this fancy bike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always thought from a dad's point of view that he left me alone with things that he didn't leave me alone with. So,
Okay.
but he was never brutal. My sister said once, he beat Mick. And I said, you're talking absolute rubbish. He said he beat him with a stick. I said, rubbish. He said he never beat him in his life. I said he might have threatened to thump him. I said he might threaten to slap him. I said, but he never ever. I said, no. I said, then where you got that rubbish from? But then again, she's 9 years younger than me. So.
It would, different perspective.
Yeah.
So did other kids have bikes in the street, or
Not many of them.
No. So
Walton's did, because he worked at the auction room.
Oh, so he was always buying cheap bikes.
Yeah.
And that's why he had bits of
But
bikes.
eventually we must have all got bikes in the end, because I remember once, I don't know how old I was then. I don't know if I was at work. No, it couldn't have been at work. I must have been still at school. Must have been at school all night. We decided it must have been. We'd ride our bikes to Brighton, see, where Mum came from.
Which was
10 miles.
10 miles, right?
10 miles.
Right.
10 miles there, 10 miles back.
And
And we took the dog, Chump, our dog, all the way to Brighton and all the way back. Never thinking the poor thing might want a drink.
That's it.
Yeah, Chum. Yeah, we went, my sister wasn't very old then, and he said, I don't know, where the cat had gone in, or I don't remember. But he said, I've got a puppy for you. Go over to somewhere of North Station, he said. And one of the blokes he worked with, he said he's got these dogs. He said, I've got you a puppy. And that was, he was a whippet come something or other. He was a pretty smart dog. He was a smart dog. Jumped the fences, God, was he flying the fences? So we went and got Chum. pushed my sister over in a pram, so she wasn't very old.
Yeah.
Mick and I and her, and got this puppy and brought her back. I don't know who named it. Chum.
Chum.
Yeah. And Chum lived for, I think, 11 years.
Okay.
And I got up one morning and there's a note on the table, Ron, will you bury Chum? So out in the garden I go, being first up, dug a hole, wrapped him in my raincoat,
Oh.
wrapped him in my raincoat,
Oh, dear.
and buried Chum.
And what? And you never got the raincoat back?
No, buried him in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, down in the garden.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
made a mound and yeah.
Oh, so you'd had him
A
all
long
that
time. And he used to free roam, used to get fed by everybody. He'd go around all the place. Everybody feed him a bit and yeah, never chained up, never locked up.
No.
Bring him in at night, he'd lay in the kitchen and
Yeah.
yeah. He'd let him out day, let him out in the morning when he went to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to pause it.